Here I come. Hello, music fans, music collectors, and all hobbyists. Welcome to the Card King Sports and Variety Show. I'm your host, the Captain Man, Brian Cataquet, a.k.a. the Card King. We are live on ABC's KMET 1490 AM. .com, your number one spot right here for news and talk on the West Coast. I thank everyone for tuning in this morning. On the telephone line is singing superstar of the legendary music duo, the Righteous Brothers. I welcome in Bucky Heard. Bucky, Brian C., thanks so much for being with me.
Hey, Brian, how you doing, man? Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's just it's an honor and a joy to be with you this morning.
Oh, the honor is mine, my friend. Let's begin. Bucky, I read that you are a native of Alabama. You have shared the stage with many notable performers, currently with the legendary Bill Medley. Please tell us how music came into your existence.
Well, being from South Alabama, I grew up in a tiny little town, and I started out singing in the like a lot of singers, I believe. In the church, my mom took me to church. I started singing in kids choir and just fell in love with it, and then went on into high school singing and tried to run away from it in college. And I was going to be actually a geology major, which is quite kind of funny because all my friends said, "Yeah, you went from rock to rock." And but then I dropped out of school, joined a rock band, and then just took off from there, came back to Auburn University where I got my degree and studied theater, got my theater degree. And then there was just kind of no looking back at that point. I worked for Royal Caribbean, then came into the little town of Branson, Missouri in about 1994 when Branson was just booming and you could drive up and down the strip and see legends. I mean, Bobby Vinton, Wayne Newton, Ray Stevens, Lee Greenwood, the list just goes on. And I was fortunate to make my living there for about 20 years before I met Bill and started this wonderful journey. But yeah, it's just music's been a part of my life. It's something that that if you have a love for it, you just seems to follow you and you can't get away from it. But it's been absolutely wonderful. And now Bill and I have been performing for, well, if the world hadn't stopped, this would have been our 5th year. We have a residency here in Las Vegas at Harrah's, and last year we did over 52 road shows. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Well, Bucky, a question that you're probably always asked: how was the decision made to join the Righteous Brothers?
Well, Bill tells a joke that we flipped a coin and I lost, so I had to join him. But the reality was, he and I had been friends. He came into Branson about 2006, and he was running Dick Clark's American Bandstand Theater, and he was performing there as Bill Medley with Paul Revere and the Raiders, and then he kind of took over the management position and was bringing in Martha and the Vandellas and Nancy Wilson and just different acts, and he would bring in. And Branson's a pretty tight-knit community, and I had a 10-piece band that he would come out and hear on occasion. We got to be buddies, and I ran into him at this wedding. I hadn't seen him in about a year and told him I was doing this show and invited him to come see it, and he did. And I happened to be doing some Journey in the show and some John Fogerty and different folks like that he liked. And he and I were already friends, so he just said, "Hey, man, I've been getting hammered a lot about putting the Righteous Brothers back together. I really have no interest, or I've had no interest, but maybe we could talk about it and see what we sound like together." And that's kind of how it all started. And we were given a 3-month kind of a trial, I think, at Harrah's. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at Harrah's. We're there at 6 o'clock. We gave us a trial run, and 5 years later, we're still rocking.
Wow, so there was really no hesitation on your part, Bucky. I mean, big shoes to fill, the shoes of the great late Bobby Hatfield. So no hesitation. You figured you could do it. I'll be up to the gig.
Yeah, well, I'm a vocal instructor as well. I was teaching in Branson as well as doing shows because, as you know, in this business, you got to make sure you have about 50 gigs in case one of them falls. And so my vocals were just in really good shape because I was teaching 3 or 4 hours a day. And like Bill said, he talked to a lot of people about it. The only thing I told him, because I basically left my show, I left the school I was teaching at and all my students. But you only get an opportunity like this once in a lifetime. And you know, he told me, he said that we were only guaranteed 3 months. So you could be leaving everything and it not pan out. But, in this business, you don't get opportunities like this very often. And I was such a huge Righteous Brothers fan anyway, a huge Bobby Hatfield fan. I played those records in my room and just tried to emulate Bobby. And I just was just blown away by the offer. So I just said, let me just double check with my wife. And I talked to her. She said, "You've worked your whole life for this. Of course you're going to try it." And so there we go. And, I believe nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you don't take chances in this life, you're just going to be mediocre.
Now, I want to read a quote, Bucky, that Bill Medley said about you, and it's a quote. "No one could ever take Bobby's place, but when I caught Bucky Heard's show, it all came together. I found the right guy to help me recreate the magic." I mean, those are inspiring words from Bill Medley.
Yeah, it's pretty humbling, and I still, even after 5 years, have to kind of pinch myself sometimes. But yeah, like Bill told me, he said when I asked you, there was no hesitation, except obviously to talk to my family. But he said there was no hesitation, and I knew you were ready because I'd heard you sing, and he and I were already friends. And he said I knew what your work ethic was. I knew that we could get along on stage, which is almost as important as the vocal side of it. That we would be good partners and a good match. So yeah, it's very humbling words coming from somebody that is a rock and roll icon and created Blue Eyed Soul. I mean, it's very, very humbling. But I got to tell you something, man. That Bill, as big a superstar as he is that great a human being. I can say that to all your listeners and from the bottom of my heart. If you ever wondered, gosh, I wonder if he is everything and all that. He does so much for people. He's got the biggest, kindest heart, and I'm honored to help carry on the legacy. I'm in no way. Let me just say this: nobody will ever be Bobby Hatfield. He is one of the greatest singers ever to hold a microphone. I'm just honored to be standing beside Bill and trying to bring the music to the people, keep the music alive, and I pray that somewhere up in heaven, up in rock and roll heaven, Bobby's looking down and he's happy about what we're doing.
Man, I mean, and you know this better. The Righteous Brothers has a tremendous history. I mean, the Beatles wanted the Righteous Brothers to open up for them in their 1964 American tour. So the great Beatles knew about the Righteous Brothers. I mean, that's huge.
It's amazing, and they opened, and a lot of people didn't realize that. They opened for, like you said, the Beatles' first American tour, and they also were the opening act for the Rolling Stones on their first American tour. And Brian, I can't tell you over the course of the 5 years how many stars have come to our show in different venues and here in Vegas, and the reverence that they have for him. I mean, people like Jackson Browne, John Lodge from Moody Blues, Van Morrison. Actually, Van and Bill just did a duet on Van Morrison on his new blues album. Jonathan Cain from Journey. I mean, the list, and sports figures like, Jim Fossil, Super Bowl coach for the Giants, and Craig Morton and different people like that just come to the show because they have such a reverence for Bill. And I just see the love that they have. I mean, Jackson Browne was an Orange County guy. And he's just to hear him talk to Bill, you could just tell that a lot of these artists were highly influenced by him. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, no question. Big time. Now, we have a little bit of a back connection, Bucky, but I want to play the beautiful song you wrote, We Stand, and also a quick mix of the Righteous Brothers, and then we could discuss. Is that okay?
Great. Absolutely.
All right. Let's play Bucky Heard and then the Righteous Brothers.
Last night in the silence, and I began to pray. Life can take unexpected twists and turns. Through the storms I've learned the sun will shine again one day. All our struggles and pain are not in vain. The always understand. We fall down, but some way, somehow, by God's grace we stand. We stand up, we stand strong, we stand for one another, we stand to right the wrong, we stand through the good times, we stand through the pain, heart to heart and hand in hand, we stand. Sometimes God let us confuse Him, but when the winds begin to blow, turn them tossed alone and lost, He's got His hand on us, I know. And our struggles and pain are not in vain, but we don't always understand. We fall down, but some way, somehow, by God's grace we stand. We stand up, we stand strong, we stand for one another, we stand to right the wrong, we stand through the good times, we stand through the pain, heart to heart and hand in hand, we stand. Sometimes bad things happen, sometimes it's hard to understand, but we'll weather the storm, arm in arm, heart to heart and hand in hand, together we stand. We stand, we stand strong, we stand for one another, we stand to right the wrong, through the laughter, standing through the tears, heart to heart and hand in hand, we stand, heart to heart and hand in hand, we stand. That love and feeling, if there's a rock and roll heaven, you're my soul and my inspiration. I've had the time of my life. I need your love. Bring back that love.
And you just listened to Bucky Heard and the Righteous Brothers. Bucky, that's a beautiful song. What can you say about that song that you created?
Thank you, my friend. Well, that song, we're going through these unprecedented times with this COVID, and about the first week or so into it, I just wanted to do something like I've heard so many beautiful musical creations come out of this time. I know if there's one positive thing that's happened, that's been one of the things, and people just trying to put their emotions into music. And I just decided I really wanted to try to create something or write something that would help people, give them encouragement, try to lift their spirits, give them hope is the main thing I wanted to do. So I sat and just the words just kind of poured out of me, and went to a studio here, then went out to California and finished the mastering, and I had it all done here, but just in a matter of a couple of weeks. And just like I said, just kind of poured out of me, and I just wanted to be able to first of all, put my emotions out there, but second of all, give people something to some form of hope, and just words of encouragement is what was just really what I was trying to do with that. And I have to say, I've written many songs, but I'm really proud of how this one turned out.
Man, the song is very touching. Great job.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the early 90s, Bucky. You shared the stage with, such greats as Tony Orlando, Glenn Campbell, Mickey Gilley. Performing with some of these artists, did you pick up or learn anything from watching them, performing with them?
Oh, without a doubt, man. It's really, I think singers are just, this is going to sound funny, but I think singers, we're all basically casseroles. And, a casserole is just a dish of all these great little ingredients, and my casserole, I pull different things from every entertainer that I've ever worked with, and people like this that are successful. I think Mickey Gilley had, 14 or 15 number one hits, and people like Andy Williams, just iconic. I pull something, and I learn something from all of them, and I'm basically a casserole of all of the things that I pulled from them. That's what made me and continues to make me who I am as a singer. Yeah, absolutely.
Man, and you also have a history in performing in theaters as well. Can you talk about some of the work you've done in theater?
I actually, my degree is in. I have a BFA in theater performance from the University of the South, Auburn University, home of Bo Jackson. And sorry, I had a little plug from a university there, but I studied theater there and did many shows at the university, and then went on to do regional theaters. Did productions of Company, of Little Shop of Horrors, and different shows in regional theater. In 1990, I went on to do some Broadway review type shows out on the cruise lines, and then I came into Branson doing an original musical called Gettysburg. And recently, and this is pretty exciting, myself and our music director, Tim Lee, for the Righteous Brothers, have written about 12 songs for the soundtrack of a musical. Was supposed to debut in New York City in the Off-Broadway Theater, the Players Theater, on December the 3rd for a 3-week showcase. And we'd already cast the show and everything, and we were supposed to play it. The Righteous Brothers, the day we opened, we were supposed to open December 3rd. Righteous Brothers were supposed to be in Staten Island on the 4th, and then COVID hit, so they moved us to March. So keep your, have your listeners, keep your eyes and ears open. It's called Mike and Mindy's Wild Weekend Jam. It's every man's story of success and wanting to make it big in the business and all the trials and tribulations with the family and things like that follow. But it's kind of got an 80s Broadway journey, Mike and the Mechanics Broadway kind of feel to it. So it's a lot of fun. And we wrote all the music for it and everything, too. So it's going to be really exciting. So, my Broadway and my acting really helped shape me again. In this business, like I said before, you just got to be able to do everything. For 2 years when I first moved to Branson, about a year and a half, I had a hard time finding a job singing because there's so many great singers there, and everybody had already been cast. And I had a teacher in college, thank God, that told me to take some dance lessons. And I'm by no means a dancer. I'm like a bull elf in a china shop. But I did learn enough to get by. And do you know, or are you familiar with Russian comedian Yakov Smirnoff?
Yes,
Night
I
Court, he was in all that. Anyway, he came into Branson, and I was a Russian dancer for him for 2 years. Not singing, dancing, Russian dancing, yeah. So I've had just such a great, interesting, varied type of career. And I've been very blessed, Brian, to have the opportunity to do so many different things and to be nothing but an entertainer since I got out of college in '89. I've been only having to entertain people for a living, and it's just been wonderful.
Yeah, and then I also read in 2005, Bucky, you were honored with the Branson Critic Award for Male Vocalist of the Year. Is that that's correct?
Yeah, that was really cool. I had just started working with Andy Williams, and he put a show together called The Entertainers, and asked me to front the show, and then they honored me with that later that year, and it was amazing. Let me tell you, I got to sing MacArthur Park as a duet with Andy Williams. I told Bill, I said, okay, I got to sing with Andy Williams, and now I'm singing with Bill Medley. I mean, if God decided to take me home tomorrow, I will have had a very, very amazing, fulfilling career.
And I got to ask you, I mean, all the hits that you sing with Bill Medley, Love and Feeling, Soul and Inspiration, Unchained Melody, Rock and Roll Heaven. I mean, even the Dirty Dancing theme song, Time of My Life. I mean, which is the song that you most get energized doing? Like, which is a fan favorite still?
Gosh, it's amazing. They all are. But I guess, obviously, Rock and Roll Heaven is the most played record in the history of American radio. And it just they just put it into the Library of Congress. So people want to hear that. And that's the song we closed the show with. But there's a couple of things I wanted to mention. I should have said this to you when you and I first started talking about being on the show, and I don't know why it slipped my brain, but Bill wrote a song, and it's a new Righteous Brothers song, actually. We started doing it in the show, and it's called, and if you and your viewers want to look it up, there's a video to it online, and it's called Love Wins All, and it's really about, and it's kind of the song that Bill wrote about these times we're going through, and that's turned into be something that we do in the show on occasion. The fans love it. But let me answer your question. I just wanted to throw that out because I forgot to mention that to you. But when we're doing the show, we come out and do a couple songs, and we do a couple of the hits, Loopy Loo and Once in My Life, But the moment that I think I see the fans just go, okay, this is what we paid the ticket price to see, as when Bill opens his mouth and sings the first line of Soul and Inspiration, with that velvet voice, and he goes, girl, I can't let you do this. And you can just see people in the audience hold hands and reach over and hold hands, and they just start beaming, just smiling, looking at the stage. And Bill's going to be 80 on the 19th of this month. So the fact that he's out there still doing it, and he's just recreating just constantly pushing the Righteous Brothers, and I just can't hardly keep up with him, man. The guy's got energy off the charts, and we're actually right now, and we pretty much signed the deal, but he told me I could mention it today for your listeners to keep keep your eyes and ears open. And one way to do that, we have a website, righteousbrothers.com, but also we're really active on our Facebook page, and probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to be doing a series of live stream concerts from a wonderful venue here in Las Vegas with a full band. We have on our stage, we have 4 horns, 3 girl singers. I mean, Bill pulls no stops. He wants to bring the music to them, to the people like they remember. And so, we're going to be doing a live stream where you can go and buy a ticket for your family or whoever is sitting in your home, pour a glass of wine and relive the memories. And we're super, super excited about that.
And Bucky, the website is righteousbrothers.com. Is that correct? And also the Facebook page. Can you mention that again for our listening audience?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for that, Brian. Yeah, righteousbrothers.com is our website, and that basically we have some merchandise on there, but we also have our show schedule when we reopen. That'll be there. But our Facebook page is real cool. It's just where we do a lot of stuff from when we're on the road, sound checks, behind the scenes kind of things, backstage. Bill and I went and did I sang for a charity event, and he happened to be in town, and that was very, very, safe. Everybody was just a skeleton crew, social distancing and all that stuff. But I posted a picture of me and Bill wearing our masks backstage and got about 6,000-7,000 views, so it's pretty, it's pretty neat because, Bill said he had 2 questions when he decided to reform the group. And he said, number one, he wondered if people would care that the Righteous Brothers were outperforming, and he wondered if they would, accept someone else, other than Bobby. And we decided before we came into Vegas for to start our 3-month residency, he decided to take the show to Laughlin just to put it up. We had 5 days in Laughlin at Don Laughlin's Riverside Casino, seats about 700, and we were just going to put it up. And literally the morning of the show that night, we were having breakfast, still writing notes on napkins about, okay, this is what we're going to say here, still just kind of mapping it out. And he calls my room. He said, yeah, well, there's good news and there's good news. I'm like, well, what's that? And he said, he goes, the breaking in thing, is probably not going to happen because I just called our music director to see how we're doing tonight as far as audience goes, and we're sold out all 5 nights. So
wow.
He said that answered the first question. People are interested in the Righteous Brothers. And in the show, Bill wanted me to sing something that was not a Righteous Brothers song, something that I wasn't going to be being compared to Bobby. And so he asked me to do Crying by Roy Orbison, which I do. And there's clips of that as well on YouTube and things from the show. But I went out and did Crying. He leaves the stage and leaves me out there by myself. And I did Crying, and he came back out. And, thank goodness people stood up. It was a great response. And he said, well, looks like they're going to accept Bucky. And literally, Brian, we have not looked back since until this COVID thing hit, man. We had so many road shows. We were selling out. We've opened for Michael McDonald. We've opened for the Beach Boys. We've opened for the original, Otis with the original Temptations. So it's been just unbelievable.
Well, Bucky, listen, they're telling me I have to go, but you're always welcome here. Just send me an email. Love to have you. Please give my regards to Bill Medley, and best of luck to you.
I will, man. And he just left. He told me to give you all his very best to you and your listeners. And I'm sorry if I go on too much. It's Bill gives me a hard time all the time. He goes, "You need to work on brevity, man. You got to get to it." And I just said,
"Well, listen, I appreciate it so much. We'll keep in touch."
That'd be great, Brian. Thank you so much, and God bless. Stay safe. You and your listeners, stay safe during all this craziness.
You too. That was Bucky Heard of the Righteous Brothers. Next week, Dr. Paul Sem will have the floor. I will be off until 2 weeks. Happy collecting to all.